Good evening, guys. Today we will continue our same element 3, and mute your mic, turn off your video, and I will start sharing my screen now. So we are learning now. I'll turn off my video as well. Now we are doing this element 3. So yesterday we have discussed element 3.2 and 3.3, and today we will continue the same element. We will try to finish it today so that tomorrow we have focus on the next one. Safety related behaviors we have discussed. We discussed the safety culture, attitude of the employees, roles and responsibilities, poor and positive and negative safety culture we have discussed yesterday. And we also discuss about the risk perception of the risk of different people about different things. And now we will do, here we have, now we will continue from element 3.4, which is improving health and safety behaviors. It's also related with the yesterday's, sorry, it's related with our yesterday's slide and yesterday's lesson. Anybody raise hand? Yes, please. Any question?
सर वो लास्ट वाली स्लाइड्स तो रिपीट कर दें जरा, वो कल नेट का इशू था तो वो जो एंड वाली स्लाइड्स थी ना वो आपने कहा था कि मैं कल आपको ना
agree with you. I can repeat, no problem, but we have a big span of time and we have a lot of slides to finish today. It's better if you just continue with the video. We have provided you the recording so you can understand that. If still you have some doubt, I can clear. But repeating the whole last slides for yesterday, it's big task. It will take 1 hour, right?
जी सर, आपने YouTube पे भेजा हुआ YouTube का लिंक.
It's better just continue with YouTube link. आप उसको कंटिन्यू करें. अगर फिर भी कुछ इशू हुआ तो फिर हम दोबारा उसको कर लेंगे, लेकिन अगर पूरा सेशन रिपीट करेंगे ना तो आज का सेशन नहीं हो पाएगा. चलें जी, अब हम इसको करते हैं स्टार्ट. स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है आप लोगों को?
जी.
Okay जी. So we have management commitment and leadership. How management commitment and leadership affect on changing the behavior, how they can bring positive behaviors in health and safety, or how they can bring the positive attitude of the employees, how they can motivate them, how they can bring in them in a state in the line to achieve their targets and objectives. As yes, Ames. Guys, you are just raising hands and then being silent. So I need to stop what I am doing, and then I am asking you, and then you just silent. Or you are just making yourself happy by raising hands. Okay, so here we have senior managers provide leadership and motivation. This is a way. If the senior managers, they provide motivation, they appreciate the employees, they discuss the site issues with the employees, they let them understand what are the requirements legally and for the safety of them and for the safety of the others, and they need clear policy priorities and targets, and clear and concise HSE policy, clear and concise and accurate HSE targets must be set by the management, and they must be given a good priority or top priority to health and safety and to improve the behavior of the employees. Commitment cascades down through the organization, require visual leadership, and this is only it's very normal, it's very understandable and interesting topic, how we improve their behavior. It starts from the top, and it's mentioned as kids from the in the organization start from the top. If the top management is sincere and they are giving priority, their behavior for safety is good, then it will put a positive effect on the behavior of all employees from top to bottom in the organization. Okay, in groups discuss the leaders that you have worked with, what made them good or bad leaders, particularly on health and safety. From here, think about what managers can do to demonstrate their commitment to health and safety. Yeah, this is a discussion topic, like in between with the students, discuss this in between that your experience, like you feel some, you work with some people, some are good, some are bad. I can share my experience here. Previously, I was working on a project and I have two projects where I was working, or two projects I was looking for. And in two projects, there is a little difference. The difference is in one project, the project manager and the construction manager, they are sincere with health and safety. They are not waiting for the safety to raise issue. They are not waiting safety to raise any problem. They are just looking on their side and they're trying to do it by themselves. And on the other hand, the same project, same area, same locality, same work, but the, excuse me, but the project manager of other organization, they are not willing to do by their own. They are just waiting. They are trying to close their eyes. They are just ignoring the unsafe conditions. They are just waiting for the safety professionals to raise the issue and then they can take action. This is an example like how the behaviors can put good and bad impact. Visible commitment, their own behavior, their own use of PPEs, their own working pattern and their own set standards and how much they are following their standards. This is visible behavior, involvement in the day-to-day management of safety, attending the safety meeting, taking part in safety tours, audits, ensuring safety campaigns, providing and allocating resources and giving some incentives like appreciation, mobile cards, or any etc. etc. Champion of the month, safety champion for the month, safety champion for the project. This is their visible commitment which they can show and it put a good effect. And disciplinary procedure, the fines, the punishments, warnings, if someone ignoring the HSE, if someone bypassing, they need to take care of that. Within the legal framework, within the legal limits, they need to take action against them. So that if disciplinary action was taken against one guy, the others will be aware from that and they will take care. They will try to avoid the same fine and other things in the organization. Who would you discipline? Yes. Who is the one who is responsible or who is authorized to make you discipline? A supervisor who orders the team to cut corners to save time, like shortcuts. He is the one who need to be disciplined on the site. A reckless forklift truck driver who is doing a reckless driving, fast and rash driving only just for his own mentality, for his own sake, without any instruction and without any emergency. Okay, a resistant prankster, the people having behavior that I don't care, they must be disciplined on the workplace. An office worker who repeatedly fails to wear PPE when in the factory area. Any worker who is not complying with the personal protective equipments on the workplace. A maintenance worker who doesn't isolate a machine as the job was only 10 minutes. A person he think that it's only 10-minute job and he don't need to ensure the isolation of the area or barricading the hazard. He just start lifting work, for example, without isolating the area, without barricading, demarcation and signages, and suddenly some member from the public, some visitor go under the load, go in the lifting area and he get damaged, he get hurt by any means. So these are the people must get disciplined. The competent staff, this is also put a positive behavior. This also have a good impact on the behavior to take it positive and negative. Their knowledge, their ability, their experience, their training, their information, and their and to check that if they are enabled to do the job in safe manners. These all other things also have good impact on the safety culture, on the behavior of the employees. If your supervisor is good enough and he have enough strength and enough skills about safety, he will teach you, he will train you, he will let you understand the risk, the associated hazards, and the consequences. If something goes wrong, what will happen? You will suffer, your family will suffer, organization will suffer, and you will get court order, you will get punishment. If he is able to understand, let you understand these things, it will change your behavior. It will put a good impact on the behavior of the employee. Effective communication. We have mostly three types of communication: written, verbal, and graphic. Graphic means the pictures. The pictures are easy to understand because there is no language barrier. And the written communication is also good. It can be recorded. It's a record, and it can be read at any time. And it's actual, accurate, and thorough for all the employees. The verbal communication is most easy, but it has some problems, like maybe some people didn't hear properly, maybe some people have other language, the speaker is just speaking in English, he's just speaking in Arabic, but the people they are not understanding. So a language barrier is a problem in verbal communication. In written communication also the same. The graphics is considered as more better. It's better to keep all three ways of communication, but the graphic is more better because if even you are English, Arabic, or Urdu speaking, you can see, you can watch the picture, and then you can get an idea what the picture want to explain. So here we have verbal communications, merits and demerits, limitations. Limitation: language barrier, jargon, strong accent, background noise, poor hearing, ambiguity, misinformation, forget information, no record, poor quality telephone, or like that. So this is the demerits of the verbal communication. Maybe some people didn't hear, maybe they take some other meanings. Maybe there is a noise, maybe the language barrier, maybe there is information given to one person is different than the information given to other person, and there is no record of that. So the merits is personal, it's quick, it's direct. You can speak directly with the employees. You can check their understanding from their face, from their body language, from their expressions. You can take feedback immediately from them. Did you understand what I said? Yeah, I did. That's fine. That's fine. But in written, you cannot ask the question to the to your listeners, because they just read and then they go. You are not there to ask everyone, did you understand what is written? And that is time consuming. And additional information, body language, and then they can share their views. This is simple, written, same limitations and merits. Merits are the pros and cons. Indirect, time consuming, jargon, abbreviation. Yes, some people maybe they didn't understand the abbreviations. They are not familiar with the language. So impersonal, ambiguous, may not be read, language barriers. Recipient may not be able to read. No immediate feedback, cannot question. Yeah, the reader, he cannot ask if he has some doubt. If I'm speaking to him, he can ask me, yeah, I have a doubt, as you guys are doing in the during the session. If you have any issue, you can ask, but only slide, if you have, you cannot ask question to the slide. So impaired version, and the merit is it's written, it's recorded, and it can be distributed to anyone, and it can be written carefully, clear, and the same information will be passed to everyone within the organization. So the graphic, you can see here the limitations are less. Limitations are very simple. It's simple, it's expensive, yeah. It need time and it need more resources to print a pictorial everywhere. May not be looked at. Yeah, that is a problem in any case, that maybe someone just ignored and he cannot see. The feedback you cannot take, you cannot ask questions. Impaired vision, yeah, vision can be blended, vision can be faded by the sun or other environmental conditions. So the merit is eye-catching. Yeah, if you see something written, the picture, your eyes must go there. That's eye-catching. Visual, you can see it, quick to interpret, easy to understand. No language barrier. There is no language written, only just picture and the signage, and you can understand it by common sense. Jargon free. There is no full stop. There is no comma. There is no abbreviations, and conveys a message to a wide audience. Yes, the audience is wide because the picture, everyone passing near, he can look on the picture. The audience will become very, very wide. Okay. So broadcasting method. What is broadcasting? Sending your message, conveying your message, publishing your message is known as broadcasting. What you can do, you can place signages, you can use telephone call, you can use a toolbox talk, you can send email to everyone, you can give them a handbook, HSE manual, you can use a notice board and posters to show them, you can use multimedia screens, you can show them video. These are the methods of broadcasting, like how you communicate your method with the employees. Cooperation and consultant. Often a legal requirement to consult with workers. Consultation is a two-way process. Manager inform workers of plans, etc., and listen to employees' concern. Yeah, consultation and feedback, or communication and consultation. Communication and consultation both are different. Communication can be one way, like I write something and give it to all of you. You can read it. You cannot ask question from the paper. You cannot ask any note. You cannot raise any issue on that. But if I'm talking, I'm asking you questions that give me your feedback. That is a consultation. Consultation is a two-way. It's a more better way. Like maybe I give you a task and I identify 10 items there, but later on you feel that the 10 items are not sufficient. You need to add more to. So you can ask me if it's verbal, but if it's written, you just be limited to the 10 items. So methods of consultation: direct consultation, talking to each other to resolve the issue through worker representative like supervisors or employees union in charge, employees union leaders. They can talk to the senior management on behalf of all employees. The other is like members which we select by election, by vote. They are public representatives, they are labor representatives. They are talking to the management. They one or two people attending the committee with senior management and they're conveying the message on behalf of all. So members may have right in like yes, in some countries there is a right. It's included in the law that the worker representatives have law to attend the committee meeting and they can discuss their issues with the senior management to get them resolved. So typical issues to consult: introduction of new measure affecting. What are the new items going on in the safety? What are the new procedures? What are the new protocols or new legal standards in health and safety? Appointment of new advisor. Yeah, if they want to appoint a new advisor, it can be discussed, consulted with them, like a new supervisor entered into a workplace, and then the management can talk to the labor representative or directly to the labor or directly to the workers, directly to the staff that this is a newcomer and new appointment in our organization. Just do cooperate with him, listen what he want to say and tell him what are your problems, like as it's happening in the organization. Health and safety training plan can be consulted, like which type of training you want. As a safety professional, maybe I decided to give confined space training in the month of December 21, but actually on site, they don't have any work relating to confined space. They want to get training for painting work. They want to get training for lifting work or the work at height. So this is a type of consultation. How if what they need, I can deliver them the same training, so it can be very more beneficial. And if we bring a new technology, we bring new display screen equipments, new type of tools and equipments, then a training can be given about new technology. That is also a typical issue which need consultation, because if you give them an idea how to operate this machine, first they will operate, but they need to ask you questions. That is a type of consultation. Just may keep it in view that consultation is a two-way communication. What is negative culture? Yeah, okay. Cooperation and consultation. Negative culture: informing, dictatorial approach. What is dictatorial approach? It means that everyone just being in charge of the activity, everyone just dictating each other. Yeah, do this, do this, do this. That is a negative culture. What is positive culture? Is consultation. Consultation means telling them and taking their feedback. In negative culture, informing me, I just inform one people that do this job. Maybe he is not able to do that. Maybe he have other tasks important which he have to do, but I didn't take feedback from him. I just inform him, do it. In positive culture, I consult with him. Yeah, this we have one task, can you do it? If he can, he will tell me, yeah, I can. But if he cannot, if he have other tasks, other responsibilities, he can tell me, he can give me a feedback that no, I am not able to do that due to this XYZ, whatever is his work or his job operation going on. Worker involvement, yeah, in the consultation, worker involvement is there. They are more involved. Training, what is training? Training in the context of health and safety is the planned formal process of acquiring and
Sir,
yes,
sir, here is Azan is going to,
yeah, okay. Okay, we can hold on.
please.
I just close the recording. Yes, guys.
Sir, please continue.
Yeah, let's continue. What is training? Training is a planned formal process of acquiring and practicing knowledge and skills in a relatively safe environment. Training is a key component of competence. As we know that competence have four elements, four components. So training is one of the important component of element. It's a planned and formal process of getting knowledge, getting information about a task, about a procedure, about an equipment, about anything to achieve the safe environment. That is training, which you are just getting as an example. You guys are getting a formal training, which is written, which is designed, which is planned to enhance your knowledge, to make you enable that you can appear in the exam and you can get it done, you can get it passed. So the training is a dramatic effect on safety related behaviors. Yes, training have a big effect, a big effect of the trainings on the safety culture, safety environment, safety behaviors of the employees. Without training, workers try to do their job by copying others with their bad habits, doing the job by the way they think is best. The laborers, the workers, they don't have such mentality, they don't have experience. So what they feel about a thing, they just go ahead because they don't have training. And despite of this, if they have training, in other hand, they will do the, they will perform the job in safe manners. Training help workers to understand hazards and risk about the task associated to the job, rules and precautions. What are the rules? What precautions they need to take in case, to avoid any incident, emergency procedures, limitations and restrictions. What items they are not allowed to do, which act they are not allowed to do. Training opportunities. When do you need to train? When you need to train, this is an important item on the beginning. That is induction training for every employee entering to the workplace, starting the job at the workplace, starting the job in the organization. He need to get adequate training, which is known as induction training. It is an introductory program. It's having a complete information about location of the project, location of the workplace, size of the workplace, nature of work, what we are doing, where we are located, what are the emergency procedures, where is the nearest police station, where is the nearest civil defense, fire services, and where is the nearest hospital, how to contact and to whom you have to contact in case of emergency, how to evacuate from the workplace. These all informations are included in the induction program, in the induction training. And job change. If there is a change in job, like one person he is engaged in lifting operation, and after finishing his task, the organization or the management decided to shift him to the confined space team, he need to have a change. He need to have a training, like new hazards following a change in job, new hazards following in a change of process. If the process change, if the equipment change, technology change, if there is a change in legislation, like for an example, before it's a 5-point PPE is required. Before PP in the PPE, face mask was not a mandatory, but later on, because of COVID-19, because of the virus, it become mandatory. Means there is a change came in legislation. So this one need to be trained to the, this training need to be given to the employees. Training need analysis. Yeah, what is the training need analysis? Factors to be considered included type and function of the organization, which type of work organization is doing, which type of job and task they have, what are the hazards and risks involved in the task, what is accident history, like the trends, how the accidents happen, which type. Just take an example, the more accident happen in work at height, so they need to give more focus on work at height, so that people get more training and more awareness, and they just become competent in work at height. Their level of training previously, how much trainings they have previously, that also need to be taken. Like maybe all of them already have training for work at height, so we need to engage them in other trainings also, so that their level of training, their skills and their experience can be enhanced. Post training, after training, what we need to do, what is there, we need to take feedback from the employees, and we also need to check how the training is working, evaluation. Like, is it helpful in reducing the incidents? Is it, after the training, there is awareness level increased? Is there in compliance, more compliance, or the improvement in the compliance to the rules and the legal standards? These all things need to be checked after the training. That is known as training evaluation. Okay, we have group activity. What topic should be included? And design a health and safety induction training program for new starters. Consider the following. This question came in last exam as well. I was writing to, it was a big question for more marks, more numbers. It came in the last exam as well. Design a, guys, please mute your mic. Design a health and safety induction training program for new starters. Consider the following. What topic should be included? I just describe you what needs to be included in the induction program, in what order, what will be the sequence, how long should be induction take, how much time it will take. It also depends on the different scenarios, different type of inductions. When are you going to do it? When you will do, when anyone starting the project, coming to the project, coming to the premises to the join, even the visitors, they need our induction about the workplace. What problems might be involved in doing it? What problems? Language barriers, misinformation, inexperienced people. People make shortcuts. Maybe some people they bring for the project to the workplace, but didn't inform to the safety. They just use a way and go direct inside. They didn't inform to the induction team. That is also a barrier in this one. New employees induction topics, health and safety policy, emergency procedure, first aid, welfare facilities, safe movement, accident reporting, incident reporting, safety rules, consultation arrangements, PPEs, provision and use. How, okay, we have question, how can directors, managers demonstrate their commitment? We already discussed about how they demonstrate their commitment, how they can put a good effect on the behavior of the employees. What are the three different communication methods? We have three very basic and simple: written, verbal, and pictorial or graphics. What is the difference between consulting and informing? Informing means just giving instruction and not asking their intention, their problems. Just give an information and that is end. But the consultation, giving information and taking feedback. It is an important question. It's a two-way communication. So now we will go to emergency procedures. Anybody have question?
Sir, I have some.
Yes.
Sir, I have some question, please.
Yes, continue.
Sir, in management commitment, there was a point, commitment cascades.
Yeah, cascade means thorough, from top to bottom or from bottom to top. It's as we discussed that the safety is everyone's responsibility. So everyone need to take care of that. No one is exempted from the safety, and it's their own behavior from the top management. What they are doing, the same they need to have implement on the workplace. Or in other words, you can say that what the standard they set, they need to take care of that.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have a second question. What is the body language?
Your personal behavior, how you act about safety, how you talk, and what are the expressions. Suppose I am giving you a training, and from your face you just open full eyes and just looking, like showing that you didn't understand anything. That is a body language. Your signals which you are giving by your hands. Like if a person, he is Arabic, you are Urdu speaking guy, okay, you want to tell him that go right, he don't understand English, you give him a direction to the right side with your right hand. That is just an example of body language.
Okay, sir. I understand.
Body language is a wide
I understand, sir.
Yeah,
I
body language
understand.
is a wide yes.
Yani other than verbal and written communication, the other one is all with your hands, legs, even face. These are the body language.
Yes, the same.
Okay, sir. The
same.
second one is
Wait,
Yes, sir.
the cascade is from top to bottom thoroughly, like what I did and what my junior did, what he did. This information need to go to everyone. Cascading means the same behavior, what I have adopted, everyone need to do the same, or the others will follow me what I have adopted. So that is an example. Like I am the organization, the CEO, I enter at the workplace, I am wearing the full required PPEs. So it means that my junior, immediate junior, he will follow me. He don't have a power to say, I will not wear. Because I am wearing, then he will wear. Then ultimately his immediate junior and his immediate juniors till the bottom level, it go like that. You see, when there is a waterfall, the showers in the parks and in the other exhibitions, the water start falling from the down and it touch every stone and go to the bottom. That is a cascade.
Yani sir, with smooth and continuous effect from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. The next question is, what is the difference between memos and agenda? There's word use memos.
Yeah, memo means any formal letter which is just signed by the project manager and distributed to everyone. Agenda is for a meeting. Agenda is a topic, is a aim, is a purpose which we are going to discuss. And memo is a written communication which is shared or communicated with everyone through email and through physical approach or pasted on the notice board. That is a memo.
Okay, yani agenda is same like the heading. What is the topic of the that?
Yeah,
memos?
the purpose of the meeting or the purpose of the training, that is an agenda. The purpose
Right.
of the site tour, that is an agenda. Like we
Right,
aim
sir.
to do this 1, 2, 3 items, that is agenda. And what we did or what is the result, that is a memo. Like the organization's CEO, he signed a memo that anyone who found not wearing the face mask will get $500 in the workplace. Okay, they just write it down in the proper, he sign it, and then they share it with all employees through email, or they just go one by one, let them read, give them and take their signature on the memo. That is a memo.
Excuse me, sir. You just talk about $500 just not wearing the mask. That is not too much.
It's not too much. There can be more. I just gave
But
an
sir,
I just, gentlemen, I just gave an example. It's not, I'm not going to take 500 from anyone, but it's practically possible. Here in UAE, a big amount of fines is there.
how much, sir? If you're not taking a safety helmet, wearing shoes,
500
and
dirhams, 500 dirhams for not wearing the face mask, or maybe 3,000 dirhams in some cases. If more than 2 people or 3 people are sitting in a vehicle, they can get 3,000 or 5,000 fine also.
sir, this process still exists in UAE.
Yes, it's still there.
That's very, sir. In Saudi, there is, if you're not wearing the mask in public place, you will find 1,000 real.
Yeah, it's different. It's very country to country. For us people who are working in Gulf or in Asia, we think the $500 is a very big amount. But the people who are dealing with the dollars every day, or it's their basic currency, for them it's nothing. For them it's like 500 rupees or 500 dirhams or 500 reals. That is just a matter of different countries and different options. Okay, meeting is going to finish in 1 minute. So I will end it now and I will restart, just join it again.
Okay, sir, please. Thank you.